Does being blind affect your social life? That's today's topic. Let's get into it. Hey everyone, it's Matt, and I'm back with
Corey. Hi guys.
Hey, so today's topic is, does being blind or visually impaired affect your social life? Now, hey, I just want to give a quick disclaimer before we get into the topic, and that is a lot of the opinions that we talk about and discuss in this video are my opinion on this topic, as well as those from many of the people that I have spoken to and had really good, deep conversations with on this channel over the last, I would say, a year or so on this channel. So, we want to get into it. I have Corey here with a couple different topics that I want to hit on in this video. So, what is the first one that we have?
Topic number 1 is identifying when approached.
Yeah, identifying when approached. So now, to kick this video off, do I feel like blindness or visual impairment is possibly affecting our social lives? And I would say, in my opinion, definitely yes. And in the opinions of many of the people here on this channel, I would also agree that they're probably agreeing with me because we've had this conversation with so many different people. But what I mean when identifying when being approached, now what do we mean by that? I mean is I can't see somebody who approaches me. Like I can't see faces. I can't recognize faces. I don't see like a person's body. Like I can't even see a person essentially. So if somebody walks up to me, I really appreciate if someone approaches and says like, "Hey Matt, it's Corey, your wife."
Usually I just go in for a snuggle.
Yeah. But you know what I mean? So, for example, right now, we're actually on a cruise right now, and our table mate at dinner, he's actually really good at this. When he wants to talk to me, he addresses me. He says, "Matt," and then he goes into whatever he wants to say. And he did that from day one, and I really appreciate when people do that. So I find that that's so important for someone who's blind or visually impaired. When you approach that person, just be like, "Hey, it's Matt from Blindtobillionaire. Hey, how's it going?" You know what I mean? Whatever. Just like identify who you are. And of course, if you are someone who's blind or visually impaired, I'm sure you can also agree that it's really nice to know who people are when they approach. So that is point number 1.
Yep. And that kind of goes into point number 2, which is gaining attention at the start of a conversation.
Yeah. Gaining attention. Yeah. It's basically the exact same thing, right? I mean,
it's pretty much the same. I think that what you're kind of saying is, like, let's say that you're, like, okay, we're on this cruise ship, and there's a bunch of people, and, like, let's say that we run in to our table mates.
Yeah.
It's nice, like, this happened on the beach today. We were walking along the beach, and randomly, like, our table mates were walking along the opposite direction, and he, I think, identified himself right away. He might have said, like, "Oh, table mates," or "Oh, Matt and Corey, this is Dan." And it was like, oh my gosh, this is so nice. Like,
yeah.
So that's kind of that first point we're making, is when it's like random versus like we all know who's sitting at the table, but you don't know who the question is for.
Yeah, exactly.
Wouldn't you say that that's kind of a better, like, more accurate?
That's far more accurate, yeah. So, yeah, when it's an initial conversation, like when the initial approach, it's like identify the person, right?
Yes.
But then let's say we're all sitting around the table and we're eating or something and there's no talking for, this actually wouldn't be a perfect example. Let me start over. So, like, if you're in a situation, getting the attention of the person before getting into the conversation is best. Not necessarily identifying, like, "Hey, it's me again," because obviously if we were in a conversation, it would make sense that, of course, it's probably you.
Yeah,
again,
like,
right?
you don't need to, like, when you're sitting at a table with 4 people, you don't have to be like, "Hey, it's Dan."
Again.
Because, like, we know it's Dan.
Again.
There's, like, the one option. But it's nice because he could say, like, "How was your dinner?"
Right.
And I'm not sure if he's talking to me or Matt, but he's looking at our direction. But, like, I know he's talking to Matt because he's looking at Matt.
Yeah.
But Matt doesn't know who he's talking to. So,
yeah.
I think that's really nice.
Yeah, another point I want to hit on, since Corey brought up nonverbals, that's another thing. As people who are blind or visually impaired, many of us cannot see faces or the nonverbals that go into a conversation, like facial expressions or just nonverbals like facial expressions,
or looking
gestures,
at somebody, like,
eye
to gain
contact,
attention.
smiling, anything like that, waves, anything like that. So what's really interesting about that is, so not only do we not pick up on the nonverbals in a conversation that I just mentioned, but if you're ever out and about, like, somewhere, if I'm ever out and about, like maybe I'm outside the house, maybe I'm at a grocery store, I'm at a store, or this happened a lot back when I was in college, I'd pass people walking on campus. I didn't see them, I didn't wave to them, And I'd get back to the dorm at night and people would come to me like, dude, you're stuck up. Like, what's wrong with you? Why can't you just wave to me? Like, dude, I saw you. I waved to you, whatever. And I'd be like, I didn't see you. And back then, like, nobody gets it, you know? Nobody really understands it truly. But my point is, a lot of the times we don't see these nonverbals, like I was just saying, like the waving, the smiling, the eye contact, whatever it is. So if we're out in public, I find that there's a fair number of people that think that I'm either stuck up or incredibly rude because I don't wave back, I don't smile back, because I simply didn't know somebody was there. So that's something that I've struggled with and really felt like is really kind of a tough part of being blind and not being able to see those parts of interactions.
Mm-hmm. You know, and I think another thing, and I'm curious what your guys' opinions are on this. So, like, Matt is a pretty, like, smiley guy when he's talking, you know, like, all's well. But I think when you don't have, like, that visual cue of, like, that back and forth, like, nonverbal, I think you don't automatically, like, smile during a story to, like, encourage somebody the same way. Matt, do you know what I'm talking about?
Exactly.
Like, where Matt is listening but not thinking about, like, mirroring facial expressions.
Yeah.
So, like, I mirror facial expressions as a sighted person. Everybody does it all the time.
Yeah.
But, like, Matt doesn't have that cueing, and I think the further away from having vision that he's gotten, sometimes he's really good about it. Like, if it's just the two of us, like, and we're engaging together, but don't you think that's kind of a component of the social?
Mm-hmm.
Because people don't know, like, are you enjoying it, are you not? And it doesn't happen all the time.
Mm-hmm.
But what do you think about that?
What's interesting is when I think of that, it's a lot like laughter. Like, if you're in a conversation and the other person is laughing, it might not even be funny, but naturally you're going to start laughing. I mean, that's just how it is. So in a conversation, if the other person's kind of telling a story or they're saying something and they're a little bit smiling, for those who are sighted, well, naturally would typically smile back somewhat, right?
Or you give them, like, an encouraging, like, nod or, like, a little, like...
Yeah, exactly.
Some kind of a note of enjoyment.
Yeah, but for me, I feel like I'm almost like a drill sergeant when I talk. It's like, here's my story, listen up. Because I'm not going to smile.
No, I'm not making it like that. You know what I mean, though?
No, seriously.
But
that's how it feels sometimes.
Yeah.
Because I'm not, like, getting, I don't know.
Well, that's
the feedback
the thing,
from the
is,
other
like,
people.
What's interesting, because I was thinking of it from, like, the point of, like, if I'm going to use Dan as an example. If Dan, our table mate, is telling a story, Matt might give him a different type of verbal cueing than he's used to. And so it might be like, is that guy interested and is he not? But from Matt's perspective, too, if Matt's telling a story and we're all very engaged and we're quiet, he doesn't know that we're all, like, waiting for the next part of the story. We're excited. Sometimes he'll think, did I lose you? When he's talking to me.
No, well, that happens. That's why I think that, because that actually does happen. No,
well, I mean,
what's actually interesting is it's nice to get some type of verbal feedback during maybe like a story, like even something like as simple like yeah. Just that's all you really need to say, like yeah, or whatever, just to give like feedback, like yep, I'm still listening. Because a lot of times if I'm maybe telling a story that lasts like a minute or two, something like that. If I don't get any type of feedback, I might think, okay, like, did I lose the person? Is there some type of distraction where the person's, like, not interested anymore? Did they get up and walk away?
All of those things
Did the
are
person
legit
walk
possibilities,
away?
you know? Yeah. And so it's interesting. I think that is a component of socializing as a blind person. Mm-hmm. And I think we should say as a caveat, we all know that everybody has a different social system and, like, how they do things. And this is just Matt's journey and experience, and some people might feel like, oh my gosh, I have no problem doing everything, and it's like, that's awesome
if that's your story.
This is just Matt's story, so we just want to I think it's good to preface that.
And like I said at the very beginning of this video, this is my opinions and my experiences, as well as a lot of the experiences that I've heard from like people on this channel. But of course it's not a one size fits all approach, because I mean everybody experiences something
totally different, and everybody's visual situation is different too.
Yeah, exactly.
And if you're hard of hearing, that's like another situation. So
another, as long as Corey says that, hard of hearing. Another thing too is what's really interesting in loud situations, which we encounter a lot of loud situations. So we're depending only on our ears in a conversation, right? Well, I feel like sighted people use a variety of different cueing when in conversation. So they can hear, they can see, like they can lip read, they can also read body language. So between all of that, you can kind of put it together to deduct like, okay, this person's talking about whale watching in Hawaii.
And it's really interesting because this is actually an example from today. We were at a desk, we were asking about doing like a shore excursion, and the lady at the front desk was talking quietly and probably had an accent. And I was listening and Matt was listening, but like Matt like couldn't hear her the same way I could, because I could read her lips at the same time she was talking, and she may have been like pointing out stuff on a sheet. And Matt was like, I didn't hear her like at all.
No, honestly, I didn't
like
even try.
He couldn't even, because it was just like all the words were different because it's all like random places in Dominica, you know, that we're talking about.
And then they were clearly looking on a sheet on the paper, and I literally just stopped listening. I just thought, there's just no way. Why? But why even try at this point?
Yeah, but I had like 3 different, you know, non-auditory clues, you know, or non-verbal cues to like listen to, and so that just made it easy for me and hard for Matt.
Yeah, exactly. So do I have another point that I gave you that we wanted to discuss? Or was there not?
Inability to see if someone's looking at me. That was the last one.
So like the inability to see if somebody is there. So that's another thing too, is I feel like I can't go out. Okay, so let me just back up just a second. I feel like maybe by nature I'm more of an introvert, but as of my visual impairment, I would say I'm more of like a situational introvert right now. But maybe I'm probably a little bit more introverted, but I definitely have extroverted tendencies in some situations. But what my point that I'm getting at is, if I'm ever at like a family gathering, well, that's about all the other group activities that I ever do. But I honestly think that if my vision was a lot better, we would definitely go out and do a lot more social activities. And the reason being is I really enjoy getting to know people. I really enjoy talking, meeting new people, and just hearing their story. I think it's so interesting because everybody has something really unique to share. I feel like everybody has like a knowledge base that's really interesting, and I love digging into that and figuring out what it is. But my point is, at these social gatherings, I can't really just like take off on my own and be like, oh hey, there's that guy over there wearing, you know, blue tie, he looks interesting, I'm gonna go talk to him. Or there's that girl over there with the cool glasses, I'm gonna go talk to her, she seems interesting. I can't do that because, first of all, I can't just look around a room and see people. I can't see people at all. Secondly, I can't just navigate around, and I feel like it's so incredibly awkward if I'm anywhere and I feel like there's someone next to me. And I've done this a few times where I'll like turn over and say something that's relevant to like the situation that we're in. And all of a sudden it's like, oh, that actually wasn't a person, it was a cement pillar. Nice. That's cool. I mean, that's only happened a few times in my life. You know what I mean? Or you turn and you say something to somebody only to know that like they're already in a conversation with somebody else, or they're on the phone and they're like they have the phone up to their ear and they're listening, not talking. And it's like, you know, so many of those situations can really knock a person's confidence down, for me anyway. So I feel like it's difficult for me to initiate conversation because maybe I just don't have the confidence to just kind of like throw a statement out there and see if it gains any traction anywhere.
And just, I know we want to end this video pretty soon because we're at, you know, a little bit into it, but the other thing is like, so like let's say that we're on the beach like today, I might see somebody with a Royal Caribbean towel or whatever, and then I'm like, oh, they're on our ship, or like, oh my gosh, I saw that guy at breakfast, or he has a University of Minnesota t-shirt on. So like I can pick out commonalities in the community around us and like think, oh, we gotta, or even if we saw a blind guy the other day and I was like, oh my gosh, we saw that blind guy, we gotta go like talk to him. But like Matt never would have found him ever, except if you heard him tapping around. But like, and I just think that's worth pointing out too, like it's easier for me to make social connections because of the commonalities that I see.
Exactly.
So
yeah, we want to just make this quick video. I know we made a video very similar to this maybe like a year and a half ago, something like that. But you know what? It's definitely worth talking about again and updating, because we realize like social gatherings, it's something we've talked about intensely with so many different people on this channel. And I feel like everybody has many of the very similar and same stories, which is basically like social gatherings are really hard for me. I don't get out a whole lot because I just find it really hard to walk around and maybe mingle with people, meet new people, make friends, even keep friends. I mean, that's something I've always struggled with, is making and keeping friends, because it's just hard when you can't see and you're always depending on somebody else. Not necessarily for navigation, but just, dude, if you can't see, you need to depend on other people. I don't care what anybody says, you depend on other people at some times. No amount of O&M training is going to make you completely independent.
But I also think it's really interesting, this year and a half later video, because like Matt has some O&M training, he's more comfortable with like his blindness discussion. I feel like you're more comfortable socializing than you were a year and a half ago. I think the YouTube channel's actually helped a ton with that.
Yeah.
So I think that it's at different points of your life, you know, it's good to revisit topics because Matt has grown and changed.
Another thing, I don't know if I just said this just a second ago, but we wanted to make this video again just to make all of you realize, like, hey, you're definitely not alone in this situation at all. We created this community as a place for all of us to come out, talk about different topics, and really connect with others that understand your situation to some respect. I also understand, like, all of us don't have the same situation, and I don't know what all of your situations are, but I feel like I can understand far more than, somebody else who's sighted. I mean, let's just be honest.
No, I don't know what it's like.
No. You don't.
I don't know what it's
so
like.
Anyway, we're going to wrap this video up, but hopefully this is helpful, and just never feel like you're alone, because you're certainly not. You're always welcome to reach out to me through the comments or send us an email, whatever you want, but I'm always here for you. But that's been my commitment for the last year and a half, almost 2 years actually.
Yeah, we're coming up.
I'm going to continue with that commitment. So anyway, with that being said, if you have any comments or questions, stick them down below. Otherwise, the shout out is coming right now. Hey everyone, it is time for a very special shout out. So the weirdest thing happened. Last night we fell asleep at Corey's parents' house. This morning we woke up and here we are. We're on a ship down in, from what they tell us, Puerto Rico right now. It's the weirdest thing. So we thought, we're just going to go with it. We're on this ship. We have no idea where we're going, when we're coming home, but this is what we're doing. So anyway, I have a special shout out today for one of our good friends here on the channel. She's been around for quite a while, and I've been waiting to give her a shout out because I had a feeling we would be down here at some point again. But anyway, this one is for Esli Ramos, and the reason I want to give it to her is because her family's here from Puerto Rico, and she really wants to visit the island, and we've been talking about it a little bit back and forth over the last couple weeks, and I thought she'd really appreciate this one. So Esli, this is all for you. Behind me is San Juan, Puerto Rico, so maybe Corey can pan around a little bit and show. But yeah, anyway, Esli, I've been waiting to send this one out to you because I knew we'd be here, and I thought this would be really special for you. So thanks so much for being such an awesome friend, and thank you to all of you for watching all of our videos, and we'll catch you again later in the week. See you, everybody. Thanks for watching.
You can't wait to see me now, 'cause lately you've been feeling down.